Hey guys, my name is Gabby. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be starting another horror books reading vlog, but this time it's going to be reading books that specifically take place in the water or in the ocean. And this is an idea that I had a little while ago, and I'm pretty excited about it because I thought it would be a really cool idea to do a themed horror reading vlog like this. And when I asked you guys on my March TBR for some different titles for this video, you guys had some really great responses. And I think Drowning in Horror Books is probably my personal favorite, but a couple of the other ones I really loved were Hold Your Breath, Horror from the Deep, Suddenly I Fear Water, Horror Books That Make a Splash, Aquaphobia. Anyways, there was just so many different amazing titles, so thank you so much to anyone who contributed an idea. So if you're asking yourself, what books am I even reading for this horror reading vlog, let me tell you, the first book I'm going to be picking up for this is The Deep by Nick Cutter. I'm excited for this book because Nick Cutter wrote The Troop, which is maybe possibly my favorite horror book of all time. So it's safe to say I went into this one with some pretty high expectations. And this one, all that I know about it is that it's about this strange plague that is breaking out all over the world, and it causes people to forget things. So it's like little things at first, and then it turns into you forgetting the bigger things, and then it turns into your body forgetting how to function. And there is no cure, but like deep below the surface, like 8 miles below the ocean surface, we're following this dude who is trying to figure out a cure that might possibly help with this, but there's also some shady shit going on, and it mainly follows these two brothers, and it's wild. Another book that I would like to read for this video is The Chill by Scott Carson. This one mainly follows with something to do with water because it says, far upstate in New York's ancient forest, a drowned village lies beneath the dark waters of the Chilliwackee Reservoir. So it's about this entire village that got like drowned out, I guess, and now the village like lies underneath the water. It sounds really creepy, and this is one of the first books that pops up when you type in like horror books that deal with water in some kind of way. Like, this is one of the highly recommended ones. The third book that I want to read for this video is actually completely inspired by you guys because it's Into the Drowning Deep by Mira. I have personally never even heard of this book before doing this video, but I got so many comments when I said I was going to do a horror books video with water themed. I got so many comments of people requesting me to read this one, so we're gonna read this one. And all I know about this book going into it is that it involves killer mermaids. And then the last fourth book that I'm going to read for this video is The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. And I know you're probably like, this doesn't have anything to do with water, Gabby, and you know, you might be right, but there's water on the cover. I believe that is water, and so we're just going with it. Like, honestly, I just wanted an excuse to try and include this book in this video because I thought it would be fun. And this one, all I understand about it is that it involves this portal to possibly like another world, and it's very horror vibes because on the blurb here it says chilling. This one is a keeper for horror fans, and I know that I've had some friends that have rated this one very highly, so I'm just very curious to read this one. And it just kind of like, I think it fits the theme fine, you know? So those are all the books that I plan to read for this horror reading vlog. I like to film these intros after I've already read all the books, so I already know my thoughts on all the books, but it's fun because you don't know yet. And I know you're probably thinking, since you've been reading all these horror books for like a week, did you get any sleep? And the answer to that is yes, because I would like to thank the sponsor for today's video, and that is Sutera, because Sutera recently sent me their Dream Deep pillow, and this thing has been pretty life-changing for my sleep. It comes in this super fancy box and it gets delivered right to your door, and this thing is so much nicer than just using your like standard pillow because not only does it have memory foam, so it's ridiculously soft and squishy, but also it has this cool design where it really like caters to your neck so that you don't get any neck pain while sleeping. It has these really cool flaps on the sides so that you can sleep in various different positions. So it definitely caters to all different types of sleepers. It's a memory foam pillow that morphs to the shape of your neck and alleviates built-up tension. It reduces back, neck, and joint pressure, and it has temperature regulating memory foam. I personally sleep on my back and on my side sometimes, so it's nice to have neck support while I'm sleeping on my back, and then it's nice to be able to like kind of hug the side of it while I'm sleeping on my side. There's nothing worse than waking up in the morning and feeling like you slept wrong on your neck. Like, that is just the most uncomfortable feeling. So I love that with this pillow I don't have to worry about that because this really caters to your neck comfort. I know for me, me for sure after like a really long day at work. It is so important for me to get a full night's sleep. So I've been sleeping with this pillow for the last few nights and I've been getting a full night's rest, and I haven't had any neck pain while using this pillow, and it's honestly just like so soft and cozy. It doesn't even compare to any of the other pillows that I have because I don't have any other memory foam products, and this is just so life-changing. Like I feel like once you use this, you just can't go back, you know? So when you click the link in my description, you can get 20% off your own Dream Deep pillow, which I highly recommend. Thanks so much again to Sutera for sponsoring today's video and for sending me the Dream Deep pillow. Now, without further ado, let's get to the horror books reading vlog. Let me send you back to about a week ago. Hello, so it is March 1st and it is in the morning. I am doing the live show with Chanel in about an hour for The Wrong Family, but I wanted to let you know that last night I did start The Chill by Scott Carson, and I only got 52 pages in, so I just like barely even started this super long book. But so far I feel like this is okay for me. The story so far has a lot to do with this dam that's in their town that they're talking about. I guess like the dam had like flooded another town in the past, like a long time ago, and I think there's like something about this town that like still lingers today. Like I don't know, it's kind of creepy and kind of building the suspense, but so far this has been told from so many different points of views. Like there's so many characters that I'm trying to keep track of in my brain. But as far as like reading this for like a horror book that deals with water, there's already been so many good quotes about like water. Like he says, there was no force on earth so determined and patient as water. And I was like, okay, that's cool, like that's spooky. And then there was like another quote talking about how when you go underwater, like your ears pop because you're feeling the weight of the pressure of all the water that's above you, and so the further you go down, when the depth increases, so does the pressure. And like I don't know, there's like a couple cool quotes like that. So far I feel like this book is kind of written in a super like vulgar and like sexual way that's like really unnecessary, you know? Sometimes I find these horror books, when they're written by men like this, like they'll just be extremely like sexual and vulgar for no reason. I don't know, it only bugs me like a little bit, but it's like I just hope it's not over the top like that for the entirety of the book. Hello, it is many hours later. It's like 11:30 at night right now, and I am 88 pages into The Chill, and I feel like I've been trying to read this book all day, and I just can't get invested into this for whatever reason. I don't know if it's like the writing or the fact that there's so many characters or the fact that I just don't find it very interesting. I don't know what it is, but I'm just not getting invested in this, and it's kind of like putting me in a reading slump because I keep putting this book down and then picking it back up and then debating like, should I just DNF this because I don't really care. And I think I'm deciding to DNF this, for at least for now. I can't deal with this book right now. It's just too boring, and like I just don't really care about anything that's happening, and the characters are all very like one-dimensional so far. I'm going to go ahead and pick up The Deep right now instead, because this is one that I'm actually just like so freaking excited for, and I was able to get the audiobook from my library right now. They had it available, so I was like, this is a sign I need to start The Deep, and I'm so excited because I'm really hoping that I will love this one.
Simon & Schuster Audio presents The Deep by Nick Potter. Read by Corey Brett.
To pay, that he was at the southern tip of Guam, a few miles from the Pacific, and a man was wearing tattered clothes and what looked like strips of old radio tires flashing through his feet. Went under with a toupee. The driver saw the old man too. He hissed.
I only read the first chapter and I'm already grossed out. There was just this scene, he was just talking about these bugs, and I'm just like, what? I don't know why anything that has to do with like bugs on skin freaks me out. Oh my god. I think this book is about like a plague that's like sweeping the earth, which I think like it's been a minute since I remember reading the description, but yeah, so it's a strange plague that's called The Gets. And he kind of just described like what this person, like the very first chapter is just him meeting this person that has the gets. And it's so creepy. He's just like saying his mouth wide open, his tongue coated in white film. He may not have drunk water in days. He'd forgotten to, probably. That's how it went with the gets. You forgot the little things first, then the not so little things, then the big ones. Next, the crucial ones. In time, your heart forgot how to beat, your lungs forgot how to breathe. You die knowing nothing at all. So, like, that's terrifying. It's like a plague where you start to forget what you're supposed to be doing, and then, like, your body starts to forget what it's supposed to be doing, I guess. That's terrifying. I'm here for it. I'm already creeped out. It's the next morning, and last night I got 87 pages into The Deep, and I'm so glad that I decided to switch to this book because this book is so freaking good so far. I'm kind of obsessed with it. Oh my god, my nails match the book. I was right that this book follows like a plague that's like taking over people's minds and bodies, and this plague sounds really terrifying. It kind of sounds like an extreme take on Alzheimer's, but it's really interesting because in this book we're following this character named Luke who has this brother named Clayton, and Clayton is like this scientist. Like, he's always been a scientist since he was a kid. He did all these experiments that he got famous for when he was a kid, and now he's like one of the people leading this team trying to figure out a way to cure this thing. And his brother is 8 miles beneath the surface of the ocean down there in the deep. There's this thing down there that they're studying, and now there's some freaky shit going on, and our main character isn't even underwater yet, but the idea of like going down below water and just like not knowing what's down there, it's just really scary. It's kind of like, you know, outer space, like my fear of like deep outer space, like somewhere where we don't know, it's unexplored, and it's just like scary, you know? And I feel like that's similar to like way down deep in the deep of like the earth. Like, we don't know what's down there, and that's really scary. And of course, you know, Nick Cutter's writing is just so like visual and graphic in detail, so it makes it just even more creepy to read about. And I just really love his writing. I love his writing in a horror book. It works so well, and I actually like genuinely care about this relationship between these two brothers. Like, he's building a really interesting backstory between them. Like, we get to see like moments from their childhood that really like shaped who they are, and we get to see how their mother was kind of like emotionally manipulative to them and stuff. And it's just, he's really fleshing these characters out, and I really appreciate that because I feel like sometimes that's rare to come across in horror books. Yeah, anyways, I'm loving it. I'm gonna listen more to this audiobook on the way to work today. I do work all day today, but I'm hoping maybe I can read some if I get a break.
Handled with this, nobody had ever tried building anything like this running from floor to ceiling. Auto rails back handiwork had to be. Elsewhere, Lucas spotted signs of low tech on the fly fixes.
I am back home, and I'm back in bed. It's actually only 9:30, and I did get to listen to more of the audiobook on the way to and from work today. I'm on page 133 right now. I did just read this one scene that was kind of a flashback chapter, and it had to deal with this bug, and like, it was so disgusting. That was dramatic, but for real, it was so gross, and so I was very disturbed. I was listening to it while I was like driving home, and I was just like, ugh, it was absolutely disgusting. So I'm so intrigued by this story. I'm still really fascinated by like the main character Luke and his like story about like his family and what's going on with his brother. I'm finding it all to be very interesting and very thought-provoking, and I'm kind of obsessed, and I want to listen to a good chunk of this tonight because it's only 9:30. I don't work tomorrow, so like I can stay up as late as I want tonight reading it, and I might. Diggy, come here. Weirdo. Diggy, come here. Hello, it is the next morning. Last night I read up to page 215 of Deep, and I'm still really enjoying it. I even have tabbed a few parts that were just like really creepy and really strange. This book has even more things that are scary to me than just like the water element of it, because, you know, of course it's scary to imagine being 8 miles deep in the ocean. Like that is terrifying on its own. But this book also is like playing on a lot of my other fears as well. Like there's a lot of scenes that have to do with bugs that are just like really disturbing and graphic to read about, and just like ugh. And then there's also like this fear of like children and laughter when it's like creepy and like unexpected. And I don't know, there's just a lot of really cool things like that that I didn't really expect in this book. And I'm also just really fascinated by like the science that's like in this book, you know, because I'm really curious about how they're trying to like overcome this plague and how they're planning about going about doing that. And I just find it all to be so creepy and weird. Like the vibe of this book is definitely reminding me of that movie Underwater, because it's like very much like that, where they're just like trapped and it's very claustrophobic down there, and the ocean is just surrounding them, and there might be something like watching them, you know, or they have this feeling like there's something there that's unexplained. But I feel like this book is doing a lot better job than that movie did, because I feel like in the movie there was like literally no character development like whatsoever, and that was my biggest issue with that movie, was that they didn't flesh out the characters at all, and it just felt like a pointless action movie. But with this, I feel like not only is the action and like the suspense really intense, but it's also like I really care about these characters, you know? And our main character, Luke, has dealt with so much in his life, and he's gone through so much loss. And so I find his character to be really interesting to be following from his point of view. And yeah, I don't know. I have about this much left today, so I think I'm just gonna like chill for most of today and try to listen to the audiobook and just like finish it, maybe. I don't have much going on today, and it's been a long time since I've like dedicated a day just for reading. Dinky loves a good snuggle. Good boy, Dinky. Let's get it! It's a little bit later in the afternoon now. It's almost 2 o'clock, and I finished The Deep, which I didn't think I'd be able to get through it that quickly, but you know, I had the audio on like 2.4 times speed, so I was able to get through it pretty quickly this morning. And I do gotta say, I feel like these last like 100 pages got like super repetitive in this book, and I feel like the ending was just so strange and just not really satisfying. It just wasn't really where I saw it going, and I don't know, I'm kind of disappointed, because I really thought this was going to be a 4 or even a 5-star book for me for most of the book, because it was definitely reminding me of a lot of my other favorite things. Like it was reminding me of It a lot, it was reminding me of Arrival, it was reminding me of Annihilation a lot. And so because there were so many similarities to things I've previously really enjoyed, I was really enjoying that from this book. But then I feel like it's too long for what this story is. I feel like Nick Cutter could have easily cut this down by like 100 pages, because it just starts to get a little bit repetitive with like the character bringing up things from his past and how the past is like affecting his present. And I mean, this book is pretty lengthy. It's like 394 pages. So I do just feel like it could have been cut down by like at least 100 pages and it would have been a little bit better. I don't know, it just kind of sucks because the ending was not very satisfying. Like I just really wanted more from that ending. I will also warn you that there is some like animal abuse or like animal violence scenes in this book that have to do with mice and with dogs. So if that is at all triggering for you, especially the scenes with the dogs, it was a little bit much. I was kind of like skipping through parts of the audiobook because it was a little like much for me to listen to. But I don't know what to rate this. It's really hard because I really did enjoy this book so much for the first like 200 pages. I really had a great time. But then the ending just kind of like fell apart for me. So I feel like I have to give this like a 3-star. One thing that I do know for sure though is that I do love Nick Cutter's writing. I do really connect with his writing as a horror author. And while this one isn't nearly on the same level for me as The Troop, I still felt like this was the same author that wrote The Troop. You know, it had very similar vibes in writing and characters and tension. Wow, I'm already feeling so accomplished today. Like I already finished the book that I was planning on reading probably like all day today, and it's only 2 o'clock. So I think I'm gonna go out and take a walk because it's a really nice day out today. It's like one of the first sunny days we've had in a while. Sorry, this lighting is super weird right now, so I'm sorry, but I just got done with my walk and it feels really good to have like gone outside and just walked around and gotten some sun, you know, because it's actually like, now it says it's like 59 degrees, so it's actually like a little bit warmer than I even thought it was today. But I did start listening to the audiobook for Into the Drowning Deep while I was walking around, because I was able to check it out from my library last night. They had it available, and this was a book that I wasn't even planning on reading for this reading vlog, but I got it recommended so many times. I had a few different people recommend Into the Drowning Deep by Mira, and all they said about it is that it's killer mermaids. And I was like, okay, what the heck? I need to just go ahead and give this a listen. So I'm only 30 minutes in right now, and it's pretty interesting so far, so I'm just gonna continue to listen to it.
Because of the season, we've got a lot of whales in the area. We might see anything from orcas to big blues. They'll be a while before we reach their feeding grounds, so relax, enjoy the trip, and watch the waves for little orange blobs. I'm retired at the age of 60, with a healthy pension and an even healthier skin scout. Of all the things Tori had to worry about in school, and we have plenty, thanks to her fondness for classes and meals with
It is now about 11 o'clock at night, and no, I haven't read anything more since I last updated you. Me and my sister literally just watched an entire season of Schitt's Creek tonight, because I just recently started watching Schitt's Creek, and so tonight we watched just the very end of season 1 and the entirety of season 2. Because now I'm obsessed, apparently, with Schitt's Creek. It's great. I don't know what took me so long to get on this train. My mom has been trying to get me to watch this show for a really long time, and I love it so much. So we've just been watching that all night, and afterwards I was talking to my sister about The Deep, and I was just talking so highly about this book and telling her how cool everything was, and then I was saying, but the ending was kind of disappointing, and she was like, well, why? And I could like barely even explain to her why the ending was so disappointing, and I just feel like maybe I was being a little bit too harsh with my 3 stars, because I mostly do have only good memories about this book. Like, I think there was so much to enjoy about this book, and the good definitely outweighed whatever I found to be pretty disappointing about it. I feel like I need to bump my rating up to at least like a 3.5 or maybe even a 4, just because I only have good memories with this book. Whatever little nitpicky issues that I had with it, I don't think it's worth bumping down all the way to a 3-star, because I had a lot of fun reading this book today, and I think it's a really great horror book that I will recommend. Anyways, it is about just after 11 o'clock at night, and I think I'm just going to lay in bed and listen to the audiobook for Into the Drowning Deep. Today when I was out on my walk, I only got 8% into the audiobook, but it actually put me an hour and 20 minutes into the audiobook, so it is a pretty lengthy audiobook. I still have 15 hours left, and I'm listening to it on 2.2 times speed. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna lay in bed, listen to this more. Like right at the beginning of the book, they said something like, this showed evidence that mermaids were real. And I was like, okay, this is cool. So I don't know how fantasy this book is going to get, which makes me a little bit nervous because, you know, I'm not really a fantasy reader. I don't know if I've ever read a book that involves mermaids, so this is like totally a first for me. But also I'm excited to get to the horror, because I've been looking at some reviews for this book on Goodreads, and some people are saying that this is like one of the scariest books they've ever read. Some people are saying they never want to go in the water again after reading this book, and it's definitely got me curious to know what the heck is going to go on in this book. Hello, it's next morning and I'm running a little bit late to work, so I can't really talk, but last night fell asleep like super early last night. Like I fell asleep at like midnight, which is like so early for me. So I only listened to a little bit, but I did get to part 2 last night and I'm still really enjoying it. I think the idea of killer mermaids is so freaking fascinating, and I never knew this was something that I could be interested in, so I'm loving it. And also I didn't know that this author is Shannon McGuire. Apparently it's like a pen name for her, so that's cool.
It's grateful. He'd been assigned to her when she did her first San Diego Comic-Con report. A skinny 19-year-old dressed like Emma Frost, trying to get people to talk to a microphone.
I did actually get the chance to listen to a bit of the audiobook while I was on break today, but I was mostly eating, so I didn't really film any of that. And then I got home, I took a shower, and then we watched Hell's Kitchen, and we watched more of Schitt's Creek. You know, as I said, I'm just kind of obsessed with it, and it just makes me happy. As of now, I am 32% of the way into the audiobook, which puts me about 5.5 hours in. So yeah, I'm still only 32% in. I feel like I've been listening to this audiobook for a while and I'm still like barely making a dent. But so far I'm finding it to be okay. I feel like it's really slow burning so far. I'm just kind of waiting for the action to pick up. I've been looking on some Goodreads reviews and some people are saying like the action really starts to pick up around the 50% mark. So I'm getting pretty close to that point. And I'm excited because like I want to get to the action. Like I want to see what this book has got, you know, because a lot of people are saying that this book is really scary. So I'm very excited to read about the scariness. And so tonight I am not gonna fall asleep as quickly as I did last night. I think I'm just gonna lay in bed and I'm going to like turn off my main lights and turn on my like cool dangly lights that I have in here just to like set the vibe, you know, and hopefully this book will be really scary and spooky and it'll just like freak me out, you know. Okay, so this main light is gonna go off and then these lights are gonna be on, and these are the ones that are like right next to my bed, and then I do have my orange glowy ones behind my bed, so it is nothing but vibes in here. Okay, like literally the first chapter I sit down and listen to right now, and there's mermaids and there's action and it's intense and like hell yes, this is exactly what I signed up for. This is what I was promised. Let's go. Hello, it is the next morning. It's actually like 2 o'clock in the afternoon now, but I wanted to let you know that last night I got 62% of the way through the audiobook. I only have 6.5 hours left and I'm on chapter 23, and this book has gotten so good. It's so action-packed and it's so terrifying and fast-paced, and the action scenes with these mermaids are just truly terrifying. I never thought I would be like afraid of the idea of mermaids, but this book is definitely making me afraid of mermaids, because I'm pretty sure like the only mermaid representation that I've even seen in like movies and books and stuff is like the Little Mermaid and like, you know, Aquamarine and like Aquaman. Oh my gosh, speaking of Aquaman, there's this one scene in this book that totally reminded me of that scene in Aquaman where there's all those like things chasing them like under the water. Like, oh my god, it's so good. It's so creepy. And the fact that these mermaids are described as more like, they're more similar to like sharks, I guess, you know, because they have like a lot of teeth. It just seems like they're like really big creatures. Like they describe them as like they're like 8 feet long. I don't know, just the idea of these mermaids is truly scary. And I also didn't realize that this book is sapphic, because there's like a female-female relationship that's like starting to happen. This book almost kind of reminds me a little bit too of like The Luminous Dead, because of the whole like female underwater horror vibes, but like this one's so much better in my opinion. Like this one's just a lot more fast-paced and actually interesting, whereas The Luminous Dead I found to be pretty repetitive and boring. But this one is surprising me a whole lot, and I don't know why this book isn't more popular, or maybe it is and I've just like had my head in the sand about it for years. But this book is so good. It's so well written. It's almost like overwritten a little bit, I think, because like there's some detail that I just don't need all of that, and it's a little repetitive because of the amount of detail, but it's also just like so well written. Like I feel like I'm underwater and like I'm in this dark and like claustrophobic like situation with these characters. So I do have a little bit of time this afternoon. I might listen to a little bit more of it before work, but then I do work tonight at 4. But I haven't been reading anything this morning because WandaVision just had its last episode, so we had to watch that as soon as it was available, and WandaVision was so good.
Which likes the water a lot and doesn't care much for the land. The axolotl never becomes a breather. It's enough.
I didn't get the chance to listen to any of this before work, but I did listen to the audiobook on the way to work and on the way back home, so I did get a little bit further. I'm 71% of the way through now, so I only have like a little bit less than 30% left. I mean, granted, I still have about 5 hours left of the audiobook, but I am listening to it at 2.4 times speed. So since it is only 11:30, I might be able to finish this tonight. You know, it is a Friday night, so like I can stay up late tonight. I don't have anything going on tomorrow, so I might just like stay up late and, you know, try to finish this, because I'm really enjoying it, and I feel like it's the most effective that it creeps me out if I'm listening to this like at night, you know, in the dark. I find that I get the most terrified and it's like the most effective, so I feel like this would be the best time for me to finish this. And I am just really genuinely curious to see how this goes and how this is all going to play out.
Machines designed for operating on small animals and human arteries. Sadly, while there was a microsurgery suite on ship, it was intended for medical use. You see, have secrets. With a siren 10 minutes playing at the humans, what was to stop shrooms that come through hair with some tools? And the rebels, brain and something stranger. There's no reason to scale the idea of that just because of a thing looked like it. If not a stinger, it could be a
Sorry, this lighting is kind of weird, but it's actually kind of sunny today. So last night I did end up finishing Into the Drowning Deep, and I've got to say I'm really glad that I read this book. Thank you so much to everyone who recommended it, because I have never heard of this book before and I probably would have never picked it up on my own. But this book has given me a new fear, and that is mermaids. Who freaking knew that could be something that I would eventually be afraid of? But I thought this book was really great. I feel like my final rating is going to be somewhere between a 3.5 and a 4 star, just because I do feel like it was too long of a story for what it was. Like, I feel like it got really descriptive and it had so many scenes that I feel like weren't really necessary and could have been taken out to make the book shorter. But I really enjoyed a lot of like the action scenes, and I thought it was very suspenseful, and my heart was like racing during some of these scenes, and it was really interesting to like listen to this book entirely without actually reading it with my eyes, because I feel like it's even more intense sometimes getting told a story because you can't anticipate what's coming, you know, because like usually when I'm reading a book physically, I can kind of like skim the lines that are coming ahead so I can like see what's kind of gonna be happening. But it's a totally different experience only listening to the audio, because I was just like terrified for these characters. I also really enjoyed the female romance that was happening in this book. I thought it was so cute, but I did find the ending to be a little bit underwhelming. Like, I don't know, I just wanted a little bit more out of that ending. I just thought it ended pretty abruptly. I don't know, it felt like we were just getting into things and then it just like ended. And I know I just said this book is too long, but what I mean by this book was too long, it's not like too long of a story, it's just too many scenes within the story that I didn't care a whole lot about, and I feel like those could have been cut down and then I would have liked a more interesting ending to the book. Kind of had a problem that I didn't like that there was a character named Holly and a character named Hallie. It just got very confusing listening to the audiobook, like keeping track of which character was which in my brain. I was like, could we have a different letter name maybe? Like, because there was Hallie, Holly, and Heather, and so just like those characters in my brain I was getting mixed up. I also really love the fact in this book that there's a few characters who speak only using sign language and that are deaf characters. I feel like that's really unique representation that I don't see a lot of, especially in like the horror genre. So I just really appreciated that, and I appreciated their characters, and I thought they were all really interesting. And so all I have left for this video is The Chill, but since I'm not really enjoying this one, I think I am just gonna end up DNFing this one, because I've seen so many reviews too just say that this book is so repetitive and it doesn't really get any better. So I'm gonna DNF this for this video. But I think the last book that I would like to read for this video is The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. And I know you're probably like, is this actually a horror novel that has water in it though? And like, you know what, probably not, but there is water on the cover, kind of. That's water, right? This one just sounds really interesting. It's been on my TBR for a while. I know Kayla over at Books and Lala, she really enjoyed this book, so it's got me pretty hyped to read this one. So I just feel like this is going to be the next book that I read, and I'm going to include it in this video because even though it might not deal specifically with water, we're just going to go with it because this is water right there. So I'm only 34 pages into The Hollow Places, but so far I've realized that this is not young adult, even though I thought it was. The main character is like 34 and she's like recently divorced, and I feel like though it kind of does read like young adult. Like, I don't know how to explain that, but it's like really easy to read so far. Like, the writing is pretty simple. And all I wanted to say is because I've been watching so much Schitt's Creek lately, in my head I'm like picturing this main character as Stevie for some reason from Schitt's Creek, and then I'm picturing this guy Simon as like David from Schitt's Creek, because why wouldn't I? I feel like they just really fit the profile for both of these characters, so I'm having fun with that aspect. And I still don't really know what this is about. Like, we're just following this girl. What is her actual name? Kara. Kara is the actual name of the main character, and she is recently dealing with her divorce, and so she's moving to North Carolina, and she's helping out her uncle who runs this museum. And so I'm just kind of like learning about that right now. And then I guess on the back of the book here it says that there is like some kind of hole in the drywall and a part of the museum, and then it leads to like another world. But it just says they have stumbled upon a place of unyielding madness. Yeah, it's like 11:30-ish at night right now, and I'm just gonna lay here and read this. I am reading by my window because it was sounding like a summer night outside. Like I could hear like crickets and like frogs or something. I don't know. It's actually kind of cold now that it's nighttime, but today really did feel like a summer day. So last night I got 115 pages into the hollow places, and so far, I'm not gonna lie, I'm just finding this to be just okay. I'm not really connecting with either of the main characters. I'm not finding the writing to be very engaging, and I'm feeling like so far this is feeling a lot more fantasy than horror, which is I think why I'm having difficulty connecting to it, you know? It's more about like just talking about this portal, you know, to this potential world and stuff. And so I don't know, so far the world doesn't seem super like creepy to me or anything like that, which is why I'm kind of just like waiting. But nonetheless, I do think I'm gonna try to read more of this today. We are currently getting ready to go to the park, to take Tank to the dog park. Did end up going to the park earlier today, and it was a really fun time with my parents and Phoenix and Tank and just like the whole gang. We played a little bit of basketball. When I got back home, I just took a bath. It was a really relaxing Sunday, like one of the most relaxing Sundays I've had in a long time. After my bath, we just watched Schitt's Creek. We watched another like 7 episodes or something. We're on like mid-season 4 now, so we're like plowing through this show at an alarming speed. But anyways, I just want to let you know that I have been reading the hollow places a lot more today. I got all the way up to page 167. I'm on chapter 13, and I'm sorry to say it, but I think I've decided to DNF this book. I'm just not in the business of reading books that I'm not enjoying anymore. Like, it's just really, it makes me really slumpy. It makes me not want to read, and I just don't want it to have to be like that, you know? I'm sorry this video is ending on such a sour note, but I just cannot push myself to get through the rest of this book because I don't care about any of the characters. I find the plot to be super uninteresting. Like, I could not care less about this museum or about this portal to this other world. You know, this does sound like something I could enjoy, but it's just not creepy, not what I was really expecting at all. This feels a lot more like fantasy vibes than horror vibes, and that's just not really what I was signing up to read right now. Like, it's just not something that I'm in the mood for. And so I don't know if this is like a permanent DNF forever, but for right now, this is just not something that I can get through, or else I will be in a reading slump, and nobody wants that. It is interesting though, because I do know a couple of my friends have given this book 5 stars, and those are people that I really trust when it comes to book recommendations. But sometimes a book just doesn't click with you, and you just have to accept that as a fact and move on. It's no big deal. Besides, this one didn't really fit the water theme, am I right? I was just trying to squeeze it in here. The amount of times that this book mentions willow trees has me singing Willow in my head. The more that you say, the less I know. Wherever you stray, I follow. Life was a willow and it bent right to your wind. Okay, I'm gonna stop. So there we have it. That is pretty much a wrap on this video. I think the biggest surprise of doing this video for me was how much I loved Into the Drowning Deep and how much I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since I've read it. And that's all thanks to you, because I never would have read that book if it wasn't for all of you pushing me to read it. So thank you for that. I know it was kind of a letdown because I did end up DNFing 2 books for this video, but the 2 books that I did finish reading, The Deep and Into the Drowning Deep, they were both really good. And like, they were both horror books that have such fascinating concepts that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. And these will definitely be my go-to recommendations if anybody wants some like horror books with like water elements involved. I just think they're both fantastic. And these are both the 2 books that actually took place like in the ocean, whereas I feel like, you know, we already said The Hollow Places doesn't even really take place in the water, but The Chill was kind of more like this haunted reservoir kind of scenario. So maybe I just prefer horror books with water that take place in the actual ocean, because there's just something so scary about, like, I'm already scared of the ocean, you know, as it is. I find it to be very scary, and I find the fact that so much of the ocean is like unknown to us, like there's so much of it that's unexplored, and I think that's what really scares me about the ocean. And then when we get books like this and like Into the Drowning Deep that kind of give you an idea of what could possibly be down there, it's so scary, it's terrifying. It's kind of similar to like my fear of like deep outer space or something. It's just something that's like unexplored and that you don't really know what you're getting yourself into. Maybe the next horror books reading vlog I do should be books that are themed in outer space. That would be so fun. I've already read 172 Hours on the Moon, and that one was absolutely terrifying. So maybe if there's other books similar to that, then I can do something with that. But I honestly can't even think of one off the top of my head besides that one. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you've read any of these 4 books, then please let me know what are your thoughts on them. And yeah, I guess if I were to ever do like a themed horror books reading vlog in the future again, please let me know what would you like that theme to be. Like, if you can give me any ideas, I'm definitely open to different ideas for themed reading vlogs like this. Like, I just love the idea of doing themed horror book reading vlogs. So let me know your thoughts, and thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye.